Hello, 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 and welcome to the Texas Live. I am Shane Moore, and I will be here for the next 2 hours doing the Texas Live podcast on YouTube video. So, hope everyone's doing okay and fine. And just want to do a sound check, make sure that you can hear me. And I encourage you to take part in the live chat um, so we can have an interesting discussion. So, anyway, tonight we'll be talking about your most powerful enemy, your the worst nightmare that you can imagine, and how to overcome it. We'll be discussing how it stands in your way of accomplishing your dreams, your desires, and obtaining happiness and sustaining that happiness. I'll discuss the methods that this enemy uses against you and how to overcome it, as well as what exactly this enemy is. So, anyway, but it is definitely an enemy. Trust me on that. I'm going to really quick. I'm going to do a sound check and make sure that there's nothing wrong. So Michelle, that's my co-host, she's sick, and so she'll be out. So I'm doing the show by myself. So please bear with me. Anyway. Okay. So we're going to have that sound check and make sure you can hear me. I have. Hey, thank you for being here. Can you give me a sound check? Can you hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. All right. Sorry about that. But so I'm gonna take these off. So what what is this enemy that we face? What is it that we are we're really not even aware of it. We're really not even aware that that this is a very deceptive enemy, and that's where it gets its power is through deception, and it's here to deceive, depress, and ultimately destroy you. And Mona, you're right. It's yourself. It's you. But nevertheless, it's your enemy. Now, on the flip side of that, it all takes place here. It all takes place here. Now, I'm going to come at you tonight. I'm going to come at you swinging. I'm not going to hold back. I'm coming out smoking, and I'm not joking. I'm going to be prodding and a poking. to make you realize that this is true. I mean, this is true. I mean, it's not some theory. It is the absolute truth. And the truth is this all takes place within your mind. And like I said a few shows, it's been 3 or 4 shows ago, how that if you look at the neural synapses, if you look at the structure of the brain under like an electron microscope, and then you look at the galaxy, if you look at the universe, you can't tell the difference when you put the two together. So when you consider the what William Blake wrote, the poet William Blake, I believe in like the 1600, something like that. Don't hold me to that, but how all time can be held within an hour. And matter of fact, I'm going to find that. I'm going to find that real quick. Just not came to me. So, but it's William Blake, and it's what he's written is a very veiled. It's really powerful, and I'll share that with you. Okay. To see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. So what he's saying is what we view as being infinite can also be finite. And what we view as eternity can also be an hour. What does that mean? I mean, what's he saying? It's all here. It's all here. It's like if you believe in eternity, if you believe that you're going to live forever, not in the body but the spirit, if you believe that, then you will. But if you don't believe that, and it's my opinion, my belief that you won't. Why? Because you create it. You create it. Why do you think that this is, I'm not getting religious on you, but why do you think that holy places are called temples? There's 2 pillars, usually like in a temple or in the Greco-Roman temples or whatever. Usually 2 pillars called the temple. 2 pillars are right here. What's the place of worship? What's the most important place? The holy place. The holy place right here. Right here. Your brain. In the center of your brain. Where was Jesus crucified? At Golgotha. What does Golgotha mean? The place of the skull. Your skull. And that's where it took place. So, there's a lot more that I want to touch on about that. And it's very interesting, and it will certainly wake you up in or at least make you think about things that you may not have thought about before. But okay, so oh, anyway. Okay. Oh. Sorry about this. Doing things. One's a lonely number. So anyway, okay. But the truth is that there's the law of double reference, what's called double reference, and what is true in one case, or what took place, what it means, can also be applied to something else and be just as true. The law of double reference. It can refer to two things at one time, meaning that neither one is any less truthful or less powerful, but it refers to two different things, maybe two events, maybe two experiences that one person's had or a group has had. But anyway, what I'm saying is I believe that many things in the Bible, many things in the scriptures that we call the holy text, or the spiritual text that we follow, I believe that many of those things that the law of double reference would apply to many of those events, including the crucifixion, which is probably the biggest, the most world-changing event that took place with one man in human history. Now, people, they say, well, this guy's talking about the crucifixion. He's talking about Jesus. He's talking about, and you may not believe, you may say, I don't even believe in Jesus. You know what? That's fine, because it's so much more. It's so much more than that. And if you will just hang in here and not tune me out, trust me, I'm not preaching to you. It's not my job to convert anybody. I mean, I'm not into that. What I'm into is proclaiming truth. And so, truth is you have 33 vertebrae in your spinal column. Okay, how many years did Jesus live? 33 years, right? Okay. He lived 33 years, and then he was taken to the place of the skull where he was crucified between two thieves. And one of the thieves said to the other thief that was railing accusations at Jesus, one of the thieves said, shut your mouth. He hasn't done anything wrong. And yet we have. The two thieves. Hey, April, glad you joined us. We were just talking about how that you yourself are your worst, you are the worst enemy that you can imagine, by far, the most powerful one. It's your choice to be your biggest fan, your best friend, or your worst enemy. And trust me, you don't want to be your worst enemy, because there's not anyone that can hurt you. There's not anyone that can destroy you in the way that you can. And what I'm talking about is that that there's the law of double reference, where where one thing can apply to two different things. It can have two different meanings, and there's many things that are written in the in the Bible and the Holy Text that certainly the law of double reference would apply to those things. It doesn't mean that one thing didn't happen and that it just means this. It's a blueprint. It's a template. It's a pattern that is followed. Okay, Jesus. This is for example. Everything that takes place in the temple, which is what religious places are called temples. A lot of times they usually have two pillars, correct? Two pillars. The big Greco-Roman temples. The temples are here. What are these called? Temples. Your temple. What's between that? The holy place. Yeah. In the Jewish temple, it was the Holy of Holies, mercy seat, located. If you took the human skull, if you took the human head and you put it in the proverbial or literal, I don't know, Temple of Solomon, doesn't really matter, because that's not the key. People say, well, the Temple of Solomon never existed. And then people fight with them and say, it sure did. You know what? It doesn't matter. That's not the key. Don't get caught up in that crap. Don't get caught up in arguing about whether it existed or not. It doesn't matter if it ever existed. Okay? That's not what matters. Do you think a physical building really matters? Do you think it really? No, it doesn't. It's the meaning behind that physical building. And what I'm saying is if you take the human head, the human skull, and you place it in the temple, or over, if you were to transpose it over the Temple of Solomon, the Holy of Holies would be center in your head, where your pineal gland resides, which is the third eye. Now, don't go crazy and run out and do things to open your third eye, because you don't want to do that. It's not a good idea. Unless you're ready. That will happen when it happens. Hey Patricia, glad you joined us. That will happen when it happens. But the problem is when people try to force it, and that door opens. If you force something long enough, you're going to access it. And when you do, people think, well, I'm going to be enlightened. I'm going to have clairvoyance. I'm going to have all these powers and everything. No, you're going to have a living hell. Why is that? Because you can't handle it. You can't handle that power. You can't handle that knowledge, that information, that overflow. It'd be like plugging a 110 plug into a nuclear power plant. You're going to blow up. Yeah, lots of headaches. That's right. Good, very good. You're going to have migraines from hell. Now, that's part of it. And that's what I was going to say too, is in this, when you are battling, or you're confronting this enemy, which is yourself, when you're overcoming it, you have to keep in mind there are two sides of you. There are two parts of you. One positive, one negative. Now, does that mean that the negative is evil or whatever? No. It's just, for some reason, I can't explain it, and I'll admit it, For some reason, it's needed. It's like we are equations, and you have to have the negative to balance the positive, if that makes sense. And life is not smooth. There's a lot of twists and turns and highs and lows, and what happens. But there's always a balance that is sought. There's always a balance there. When a balance is sought, what does that mean? It means there is a conflict. There's a battle. There's a war, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Case in point about the law of double reference. In the Bible, Jesus lived 33 years, right? You have 33 vertebrae in your spinal column. 33 vertebrae. And it begins at the sacrum. Sacrum. The sacred, sacrum, sacred. Holy, sacred, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, 33 vertebrae go where? To your skull, to your brain, inside your skull. Where was Jesus taken when he was 33 to be crucified? A place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. He was crucified between two thieves, right? And the two thieves, they were opposing each other, because when one of the thieves said, was railing accusations at Jesus, the other thief said, hey, leave him alone. He hasn't done anything wrong. Well, there was one thief that knew truth. And there was another thief that couldn't quite comprehend it. The two thieves, the right hemisphere of your brain and the left hemisphere of your brain. What is that? Each one believes that it's the whole. The right brain is creative. Well, see, Moni, you say, wow, how has this all worked out? That's just it. It is a template. It's a blueprint. And that's what I'm telling you, is they are everywhere. They're everywhere. If you can just use your real eyes, not these eyes, but your real eyes, your spirit, if you can accept that, to use your real eyes to realize that these things are not, they can be taken literally sometimes. Many times they're metaphors, but they're metaphors and allegories, but sometimes they can be taken literally. And this is one of those times. And so, but it is a blueprint. It is showing us that by doing what? By overcoming that mindset, the thief. And I'm just going to say this, and you can think what you want to think, but even if you hate me or you disagree with me about saying this, that's fine, because I'm willing to take that chance, because I believe that it's truth. Now, just because I believe it, I don't want you to, just accept it. do your own research, do your own study, think about it, and if it resonates with you, then you know, believe what you want to believe. But the truth is um, Jesus said the thief comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. Well, that's what your mind left unchecked will do every time. It will steal from you. Um, it will kill you, and it will destroy you. Why is that? I have no idea. I really don't. I wish I did, but I don't. Why does it seem that people, that humans are hardwired to self-destruct? Because, you know, let's face it, if, and I'm saying if, we didn't have some kind of a check system, some kind of a you know, some kind of an idea of a creator or God. Can you imagine what the world would be like if it was somehow proven that there was no God, or that God didn't exist, and that you could do what you wanted to do, and you weren't gonna, there's no hell, there's no punishment. You die, you're put in the ground, and there's no afterlife. It would be bad. It would be pretty bad, because believe it or not, within our very DNA, we on some level, it's like, have you done something that you shouldn't have done, and you're by yourself, nobody's there, but you feel guilty, you feel like somebody's watching, or, you know, whatever. Where does that come from? It's hardwired into us. I mean, it really is. Now, whether you believe in God or the creator or whatever, it doesn't matter. You still have that innate sense, that feeling, yeah, a guilty conscience. Okay. Now, I'm not preaching, but I'm trying to show you what these things are. I'm trying to show you what these templates are, what these blueprints are, what these patterns are. And I'm using the Bible because that's simply, I haven't read the Quran. I don't know a lot of other, you know, spiritual text. So please just bear with me. Patricia, you say, not alone, but neglected listening to my instincts with my abusive ex. I should have listened, but every time I ignored it, I felt guilt. Well, that's, you know, one thing that the negative part of us uses against us in a very powerful way is guilt. Oh man, big time. And guilt is powerful. And guilt is best described as, I should have, I could have, I would have. You know what? Throw those out. Forget about them. Because you can say, I could have, should have, would have, until doomsday. And it's not going to change anything. It's just going to make you feel worse. And it's just, you know, but that's another thing is, you know, sometimes we believe the lie that if we let go of someone that's abusing us, or someone that's just totally, you know, doing the wrong things in life, and just doing this and that we'll never find someone else, will always be alone. And so you stay with that person, you stay with that jerk, you stay with that jerkess, because you're like, well, at least I have someone. No, you don't. You have a jerk. You don't have someone, you've got a problem. Yes, jerkess. I'm calling Webster tomorrow. That's going to be in the dictionary. Yeah. So you're not with someone. You're in a relationship with a big problem. And you know what? It's going to get worse. People say they'll change. You're right. They'll get worse because the fact that you're staying with them is giving them the license. It's giving them the power to do worse, to become worse, because, hey, you haven't left yet. So why not? Sad but true. But what happens is the reason why people stay in those relationships, those abusive relationships, is because you have that inner voice. And if you have ever wondered what the devil sounds like, it's not what you think. It's not like Linda Blair, no. It's that little inner voice that says, like 4 words. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not handsome enough. You're not intelligent enough. You are lacking so many things. Now, how many times do you hear that voice say, wow, you're amazing. Wow, you're powerful. I seriously cannot believe how powerful you are. Never. And if you have, tell me. Please tell me. Because it just doesn't happen. Right? I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too ugly. Okay, but it becomes to where that you happily embrace the abuse, because this little voice, this negative part of yourself that is there to destroy you. I mean, it is a formidable foe. It's there to destroy you if you let it, if you allow it to. Actually, I believe, in my opinion, that it's there to strengthen you, because adversity strengthens us. It empowers us. It makes us stronger. It's not pleasant, but it does make us stronger. It's like sharpening a knife, a blade. You sharpen it and you take the excess off, and the blade gets sharp by repeated swipes on the stone. So it's there to empower you or to destroy you, and it's your choice on which one it does. And those that you see who are powerful, who are seemingly happy, who are successful, and I know we look at them and we say, wow, I bet it would be so nice to live like they do, because I bet they've never faced the things that I faced. Really. No, they have probably many times over. It's just that they've been through it so much. They've been through so much. They have faced it so much that they've conquered the enemy within. What are we taught? We're taught the enemy is without. Everywhere else. Couldn't be us. No, couldn't be us. But back to the um, Bible as far as that. When the first murderer, according to the Bible, when he killed his brother Abel, when Cain killed Abel, okay, what does the Bible say? It says God put a mark on Cain, on his forehead. And so no one who found him would kill him. It was there to protect him. Now, get that. It was there to protect him. And people say, well, the mark of Cain was this symbol, and it was this symbol, and it was this. It was an upside down T, or it was the letter T or the letter X. Please. Really? You believe God took like a marks a lot and just, there you go. That's going to protect you. Go on your way. Nobody's going to kill you when they see that, It'd be like if it was a literal mark, it would be more like a target. It would be like a target for someone to just hit the bullseye, if you ask me. How did the mark of Cain protect him? Because the mark of Cain is nothing more than a guilty conscience. Yeah. Did Cain have a conscience when he killed his brother Abel? Hey, Joy. Glad you're here. Welcome. When Cain killed Abel, and keep in mind, this is the law of double reference. Yes, that happened. That may have happened. It may be a metaphor, may be an allegory, but it's teaching us, it's showing us a truth, a very important truth, that Cain, when he killed Abel, he didn't have a conscience. He just, it says he slew his brother Abel. Boom. And then God put the mark of Cain on him, put on him the mark of Cain. And the mark of Cain is a guilty conscience. Said that God put it on his forehead. It's pretty, well, I'm glad you did. Joy. I'm not sure, Joy. I don't recognize that name. I'm not sure if you're, using a different name or what, but glad you're here anyway. So, but yeah, so the mark of Cain was put on his forehead. Now, did the Bible have to say that? No, it could have just said, and God placed upon Cain a mark to protect him, so no one that found him would kill him. What it was is when God gave him that mark, he somehow, in some way, Cain developed a conscious, he developed, he was conscious of of his deeds, he felt he had a conscience. So that would naturally protect him, because where he was, he didn't care. He didn't care about anybody. Sooner or later, if he was hurting people and killing others, sooner or later he would be killed. But with a conscience, you know, he's going to think before he acts. And what's he going to think? He's going to think about others. That was his protection. And yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Moni, you say it would have been nice if it said it. Well, yeah, it would be, but that's throughout the whole. That's throughout every book. That's about every sentence is that's veiled. I mean, it's for some reason it is, but it doesn't take away from it being truth. Now, you have at the base of your spine, or the base of your skull, you have 24 nerves. You have 24 cranial nerves that are attached to your vertebrae. Your well, 24, and then we have our ribs. We have there's 12 on one side, 12 on the other, at the base of your spine, at the base of your skull, And in the book of Revelation, it says that in the temple, the 24 elders are around the throne of God, worshiping God. 24 elders around the throne. There you go. There's your 24 elders. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a spiritual component to that, but I'm certainly telling you that that's the physical component. Is and what is the mercy seat? Hey, listen, your brain, the there is the it's the Madura, and the it's the dura mater, and that means mater means mother. Okay, well, there's also a word that means father, and I forget what it is, but anyway, it's talking about the layers of your skull, layers of your brain. Okay. By your pineal gland, the aka third eye, there's a place that is called the Stella Mursus. The Stella Mursus. And what that means in Latin, that word of that place in your brain literally means mercy seat. Okay? It means mercy seat. So when you read the Bible, it talks about the Ark of the Covenant, right? And it says on the ark was the mercy seat, where God's presence dwelt on that mercy seat. Boom. 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 There you go. And the let's see. I'm gonna get this for you so you can find it yourself. Man, I'm just gonna do this Latin. Okay. Well, that didn't work out so well. Okay. I'll do something else here. This is this is really really important. So just bear with me, and I will. I'm not going to be long. So, um, but let's see. Um, so what you have is you have the different places in your brain, which when you think about it, how many times do you read in the Bible, or you hear about certain things as far as religious teachings or spiritual teachings that have to do with the forehead? It's like they talk about, well, that's where the mark of the beast is going to be put. It's going to be tattooed on the forehead. No, it's not. It's not that. Just like Cain's mark was a guilty conscience, um, the mark of the beast, and they say, well, that's the mark of the devil. No, it's not. That's the mark of the beast. That's the mark of the primal. That's the mark of the unspiritual part of you. That's the primal predatory. Me, desire. Give me, give me, give me. That is you with that is the a human being without a conscience. And what's going to happen in that case? They're going to kill, they're going to steal, and they're going to destroy to get what they want, to fulfill their desires. And in so doing, they destroy themselves. Right? That's what that leads to. It leads to them destroying themselves. It's just like a drug addict. If you gave them everything they desire, every desire of their heart, and they want drugs, what happens? They OD, they overdose, they die. I'm talking about those that are really, really bad off. Yeah, you give them enough, and they will destroy themselves. So that's something to keep in mind with how we and why we have to overcome the that negative part of ourself. Now, one thing that the that the crucifixion of Jesus, and the reason why that I'm talking about it is because it is, and I think probably agree. I mean, if you don't, then that's fine. But it's probably the greatest event, or the most discussed event that has happened involving one man in human history. So, but the Ark of the Covenant is actually in your head. I mean, let's see. You say there is an O negative Facebook group that's called Cain. Yeah, I don't I don't adhere to that. I don't adhere to Cain being O negative, and um, I mean, when you get down to it, um, people are free to believe what they want to believe, but the way that I look at it is, if I wasn't there, or there wasn't someone there to take a blood test, then I'm not going to teach that Adam or Cain or Eve or whatever had negative or positive blood. I simply don't know. But and one thing too is I don't necessarily believe that Adam was a single man. I mean, was just solo. I think Adam was more like a group of people, or possibly a race of people, or I don't necessarily think it was just one man. May have been, but I think that's that's just part of the how we have to decipher what's been written. Now, but the ark is in your head, the Ark of the Covenant, because it says that the mercy seat, which is the Sella Turcica, the mercy seat holds the pituitary gland, which is the gland that we grow, physically grow by, right? Okay. And it says that would be the Holy of Holies in the temple of God. And as I said, temple right here. So the top of the sphenoid bone is called the foramen, the foramen. The foramen canals to the eyes. And that's in reference to Revelation chapter 3, verse 14. For he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. And unto the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things saith he. Okay, amen. Now, also, when it talks about the seven churches, talks about 7 stars, 7 candlesticks, 777. It's talking about the 7 chakras in your body, and the churches, they start out, low. They're not doing so good, and then as it progresses, they move up. That's the chakras. That's moving up from your base chakra to your crown chakra, right? So, what's up? Okay, I just had to say that. I don't know why, but anyway, when Jacob went to sleep and put his head on the stone, which is said to be the stone of Scone in that Queen Elizabeth sits on, and he saw the angels ascending and descending on a ladder. Well, what he saw was, he saw the double helix DNA that I believe is definitely what angels, which I believe are dimensional entities. They're hey, Michael, welcome. Glad you joined us. They're interdimensional entities, but they're not the winged beings that fly around in the heavens and no, they're spirit, they're unseen, and now they can take form, but that's rare. Okay, that's just rare. But Jacob saw these angels ascending and descending the ladder and into heaven, which is what I believe is our DNA. Because our DNA has it's, well, I'll tell you in just a minute. But everything spiritual about you, and everyone's spiritual. You have that hardwired into you. As a human being, you do. I mean, it's just there. Now, whether or not you embrace that, whether or not you cultivate that, whether or not you exercise that, and how you exercise it is giving focus to it, giving attention to it, determines on how powerful or how much you will grow spiritually. Now, Jacob says, and Jacob called the place Peniel, Peniel. Now, the pineal gland is Pineal. There's not much difference, and they're both pronounced the same way. And Jacob called the place Peniel. He says, "For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." Now that should tell you something. I have seen God face to face, and I did not die. And he called the place Peniel. Your pineal gland. And something else. Oh, this is getting good. The Great Pyramid. If you laid back and say that the Great Pyramid was your pillow, and you put your head back on the Great Pyramid, using it as a pillow or as a torture device to go through the back of your skull. I don't know. You know where the pineal gland would reside? Would be like right in the king's chamber. You know where your pituitary gland would be? In the queen's chamber. Are you starting to see where these templates and these blueprints and these what has been left behind is not just as some Pharaoh's tomb? I mean, no, it's not. It's well, you're right, Patricia. You say, I love how everything's fitting together like a little puzzle. It's a huge puzzle. And the more you look into it, the more you see how it fits together. And it's so amazing that it's a little creepy. Just like the distances between certain ancient places, megaliths, spiritual places. The distances between those places have been measured for like thousands of miles, kilometers. And we're talking about places that are very, very old. So how would they know how to measure in miles and in kilometers when those distances, those measurements just didn't exist then. But one thing too is when the Bible says that when God when the serpent tempted Adam and Eve and they fell, they sinned, they ate the fruit. It says God went into the garden and Adam, where are you? Well, when you think about that, the Bible says that God knows everything and is all present, all powerful. So why would he ask the question, Adam, where are you? He already knew where he was, but he wanted to see what Adam would say, which he already knew what he would say, which makes the whole thing kind of pointless, really, but not pointless. Why? Because it's a blueprint. It's showing you a truth. And he says, I'm hiding because I'm naked. And he said, who told you were naked? He said, well, I basically did. He said, have you eaten from the tree I told you not to eat from? He says, well, this woman you gave me, she gave it to me, which Adam did the manly thing. He blamed his wife. So, yeah, I bet he was in the doghouse after that. But anyway, so it says, and it didn't have to say this. It didn't have to say it, but it says, and God created, God made skins to clothe, to cover their nakedness. Okay, now remember this. Remember, Adam was made in what? Was made in God's image. All right. What is God? The Bible says God is spirit. He is spirit. It says God is spirit. And I don't believe that God is just the Father. I believe that God is Father, Mother, and Son. Everything. And people say, well, no. Yes, because if God was not Mother, Father, and Son in some way, then he would be lacking that role or that experience. And he's not lacking anything, right? Because if he is, he's not God. So ponder that. But when the Bible says that God created skins for them, people say, well, I bet it was a lamb skin. Or I bet it was probably goat skin. Or I bet it was, this skin or whatever. You want to know what skin it was? You really want to know? Okay, I'll tell you. Look at your arm. This skin. Adam was made in the image of God, correct? What is God? God is spirit. What was the punishment for eating and obtaining the knowledge that was too much, that they couldn't handle? Punishment. Prison. Serving time, I guess. And what? Skin. He made them skins to cover their nakedness, to cover their spirit. And what is God? God is spirit, God is light, and God is love. He covered it with skins, the skin that we wear today. What? What does it say? When this body gives out, or when we physically die, we're spirit having a bodily experience, right? So most of us, I mean, for the most part, believe in an afterlife. We don't just live and die here. There's more to living and dying. So we move on. I mean, we go on, right? Your spirit, your energy. So you escape. You escape the prison. You escape the, you've. It's like you've served your time, or I don't know. I very much view life as an experiment, as a test designed to um, test your reactions, to see what choices you make. And I could go on about that, but yeah, that would be a whole nother show. Choice. Could talk forever about that. But Mona, you say, I don't understand why they were ashamed to be in spirit form with God. Well, according to the Bible, they the reason is they obviously accessed knowledge, and when it says that they ate the fruit, it's not talking about literal fruit. It's talking about they accessed knowledge. They accessed information that he told them not to. And the reason he told them not to, the reason he told them don't eat from that tree talking about that source of information, is because he knew they would. He knew they would. I can't explain it, but that's why. So it's like, you can look at it like, why do we have this inner enemy? Why do we have this, this destroyer within each and every one of us? Now, those that you look at and you say, well, it's not in them. Yes, it is. Maybe it's just not surfaced yet, or maybe they've overcome it. But it's there. And it is unpleasant. Mona, you say, so they were not ashamed of being naked, just ashamed of what they did. Yes, there's that guilt again. They had never known guilt until they did wrong. Now think about this. If they had never disobeyed, and that's wrongdoing, they doing what they wanted, their desire, which is, sin, wrongdoing, whatever you want to call it. If they hadn't done that, there would be no need to be saved, right? There would be no need for a savior. There would be no need for salvation. There would be no need for forgiveness. So you have to ask yourself, what is this? Well, this is going to blow your mind, but I believe that it is. I believe that it is the most intricate, the most complicated, the most advanced, how do I put it, screenplay I'm serious. You call me crazy. I could care less. But when you look at the evidence, what does it say? It says, it says, and it is written, and it is written, and it's written, and it says, and God said, and it was, and God said it was good, and God said, and it was. What's he doing? He's writing the screenplay. He's writing us into it. Jesus said, there's not one jot or one tittle that will not be fulfilled, that will be excluded until all be fulfilled. And he's talking about like the crossing of a T or the dotting of an I. He says everything that's been written. It's like this is going to go down as it is written. What does that mean? Well, if it's written by hand, then there's a chance things are going to screw up, right? How do you ensure nothing's going to screw up? How do you ensure that everything is going to go as it has been written? Well, if it's been programmed, if the writing is actually coding and it's been programmed, and instead of a screenplay, it's a simulation. There you go, the Matrix. Yeah, as insane as it sounds, which I've always believed it. Matter of fact, when I saw the Matrix for the first time, I was sitting in the theater and I sat there and I was just like, I was so shocked. And my wife at the time was shocked too, because she said, oh my God, this is everything that you have been saying for years. And I said, I know, go buy more tickets. And I sat there and watched it again. It was that powerful. I mean, it was like, whoa, how did they get in my mind? And I was like, man, this is freaky. And then the second one came out and the third one, and man, it's more like a documentary than it is a sci-fi movie. I'm serious. Because how do you overcome this destroyer, this thief, this devil within you? How do you overcome it? Well, you can't escape it. Why? Because it's you. It's your opposite. It's your negative. And it knows everything about you. Change your thought patterns or mindset. Well, yes, but you have to go further than that. And let's see, Michael said it was a lesson they had to learn like a child. If you're not told no, then you will not learn. Right, exactly. And but changing your thought patterns or your mindset, that's good, but changing them as opposing this negative part of yourself won't work, because it will never stop. It will never give up. And it will fight you and it will battle you forever if it could, just like you would it. I mean, it's two opposing forces. Boom, boom, boom. You're attracted to each other, you're drawn to each other, but you're also repelled by each other. It's boom, boom. It's just this all the time. What has to take place? Okay. Now we go back to the crucifixion. Okay. and surprisingly, to the Matrix, the third Matrix with Neo and Smith. And those of you that haven't seen the Matrix, I would encourage you to watch the first one, the second one, and the third one, and you'll be amazed. But in the Matrix, the last Matrix, Smith, which is Neo, it's the one that is against him. It is his enemy, his most powerful enemy, and for some reason, he cannot overcome Smith. And the same way Smith can strangely not overcome Neo, they're always at a draw. They're always fighting, and it's always a draw. Neither one of them can win. So that should tell you one thing. Neo and Smith are the same. They just see themselves as being opposites. And at the very end, Neo and Smith, they fight for a final time. And it is a brawl for it all. I mean, it's all over the place, and it's very brutal. And Smith asks Neo, he says, "Why, Mr. Anderson?" Neo is his name as a hacker, and it's his name in the Matrix, not his name in the world, or it's his name in the real world, but not his name in the Matrix, which he mistakenly believed was the real world. It was a simulation. His name in the real world was Thomas Anderson. And so that's what Smith, his arch enemy, just keeps on. He will never call him Neo. He calls him Mr. Anderson. He says, "Why, Mr. Anderson? Why do you do it? Why keep fighting? You believe you're fighting for something more than your survival. Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Could it be for peace or love or truth? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception, temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect, trying desperately to justify an existence that is without meaning or purpose. And all of it is artificial as the Matrix itself." He says, although a human mind is the only mind that could invent something as insipid as love. You see what he's doing? He's tearing down, he's attempting to tear down Neo's belief system. And if he can, then they'll keep fighting. It'll just keep going on and on. And he says, you must see it by now. You can't win. It's pointless to keep fighting. He says, "Why, Mr. Anderson? Why do you persist?" And Neo looks at him and he says, "Because I choose to." So, because I choose to. I choose to fight for these things. I choose to fight for truth. I choose to fight for love. I choose to fight for justice. I choose to fight for peace. And then Smith tells him, he says, "This is my world." He says, "It's my world." And so at the very end, Smith looks at him and he says, or Neo looks at Smith and he says, "You were right, Smith." He says, "You were always right." He says, "It was inevitable." What was? What was about take place. Because Smith had turned the entire population into clones of himself, which is, you know, that's pretty much that would be a type of way that the that the proverbial mark of the beast is going to be, or would be, is it's not a mark, it's a mindset. And so this was just showing how that everyone would have the same mindset. They would all be thinking the opposite of love and truth and peace, be hell on earth, So, but he had been changing. He'd been, cloning people into himself, into his image, into his likeness. And so what happens is Neo had gone to this this place called the Machine City, aka heaven, and he told the creator, this machine god, you have to watch the movie. He says, he said, put me in the Matrix. And they're like, why? And he says, because I'm the only one who can defeat Smith. Well, they're like, you know what? You're right. Because you are Smith, and Smith is you. You're one and the same. You're the only one who can defeat him. And if you can't, then everything's going to be destroyed. So they hook him up, and he goes into the Matrix. His spirit goes in the Matrix, and God, if you just hang on, you'll get this. I mean, what happens is Smith, Neo, must become one with Smith. He must become one with Smith. He must give in and apparently lose. And Smith clones Neo into himself. Okay, well, you think, oh, wow, he lost. But back at the Machine City where Neo is, they destroy Neo. And in turn, because Neo had allowed Smith to clone him, for them to become one, the opposites, positive to negative, to become one, Smith was eradicated. Smith was done away with. The negative part, the dark part was done away with. That's on the cross, at the crucifixion. What does the Bible say? It says, for he, talking about Jesus, became sin for us so we could become the righteousness of God in him. So what does that mean? It means he literally became the sin. He became that. Why did he become that? Why did he have to become that? So the creator, God, the source, could destroy it. By what? By destroying him. But he said, no one takes my life from me. He says, I lay my life down willingly because I have the power to take it up again, which he did according to Scripture. So What is that? What is that saying? It is telling every one of us that that's what we must do. We must lay down our our life as it is now, because at some point we all fight, we all battle with that negativity, with that, and we, no matter how good you are, you cannot win, and you can't win. You may not want to accept it, but you're like, man, this is one enemy that is just unbelievable. That's right, because it's you. It's it's a part of you. Just like you believe that you are the one, that negative part believes it's the one. And what did Jesus say? When the two become one, then you'll be whole. Then you'll be all right. But until then, as long as they battle, as long as they fight, as long as they're in conflict, no, they have to become one. When the two become one, the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere, they become one, boom. Then you have the entire brain working, and it's not working against itself. I guess you could say that it gets an upgrade because it becomes aware that, hey, there's another side, just over that wall. There's another side to me, and but truth is that is what that is what the world system does not want you to know. It does not want, it wants you to think that the enemy is outside of yourself. And simultaneously, it wants you to believe that the answers, or that what you need to be happy, to be successful, to be powerful, is everything outside of yourself. Because really think about this. If you knew and you came to the knowledge that everything that you needed, you already had, and you didn't need anything else, as far as happiness, peace, love, where would the world system get its support? Because you would be living in, peace and love and happiness. You wouldn't need what they sell. What does that mean? They would go out of business. If there was no war, if there was no division, if there was true unity, the world system would fall. That's why we're just flooded with words like unity, united we stand. Really? United? Have you looked around lately? Not very united. People say, well, everyone has come together. Really? Since when? Look around. Are you serious? That's not unity. That's insanity. And why just talk about the United States? Why not the world? Because you're fed this information that is designed to feed and empower that negative part of you. And the negative part of you loves it. It loves it. It loves to hear that. It loves to hear that, and it thrives on it, and it just, That's why that everything is just one thing after another. It's like, like a guy said, one day he said, I wish I had $1,000. He said, and I would be perfectly happy. So a guy gives him $1,000. The guy said, damn. The guy says, what's wrong? What's wrong? He says, you said if you had $1,000, you'd be happy. And he says, now I'm sad. I should have asked for 10,000. That's right. Desire, greed, me is what the world runs on. It's the fuel. It's not petroleum. It's not gas. It's not oil. It's greed. That's what people say, money makes the world go round. No, greed makes the world go round. The love of money makes the world go round. But more than that, the love of power, the need for power, those who are insatiable, they can never have enough power. That's what controls this world system. And where the world changes, or how the world changes, and when the world changes, is when you change. When you defeat the world. It's a paradox. You defeat the world system by defeating yourself, defeating the negative side of yourself that the world system, everything in this world system is designed to feed that negative part of you, that part that most people, they have no idea is there. It is the enemy that is completely hidden, camouflaged, and silent, but exerts so much power over you, and you're looking to see where it's coming from. You're looking to see when the enemy is going to attack, and you're being attacked at that very point. You're already being attacked, but you're looking outside to see where it is, see where it's coming from. It's already there. And there you go. Michael, you say, money, always been icky to me. I never like to hold it or keep it or spend it as fast as I get it, so it's not around me. Well, me too. I mean, I've of course, I mean, we have to have money to live, but I've never wanted to get rich. I mean, I never had that desire, and it just never appealed to me. My main thing is to instead of getting rich, I just always wanted to help people, and see people happy, see people that smile, see people be genuinely happy, and see them at peace, see them love each other instead of hate each other. I guess I could say love, but I could say more like tolerance. That just because someone's different, just because someone believes a different way, or their skin color is different, you love them anyway. I mean, you don't abuse or you don't kill people just because they're different. You don't mistreat anyone because they're different. And I'm talking about everybody. I don't care what your difference is or how different you are. You get right down to it, What is different? We're all different. So, people that are running around saying, oh, they're different, let's attack them. Well, you're different too. You're different from me. So does that give me the right to attack you? No. So why do you do it to others? And that's, but the main problem in the world today is that there are people in positions of power that have succumbed to, or they've been controlled by the negative part of themselves, the dark half, I guess you could say. You can't have light without darkness. You can't have, we wouldn't know the light without the darkness, and vice versa. So, but these people have allowed that negative part to consume them, to literally consume them, to consume the good half, or the light within them, and because of that, they are hell bent on destruction, total destruction. And I'm talking about, I don't name names. I'm talking about, well, I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to set off any alarms, hopefully. But Prime Minister of Israel, the president, and that idiot John Bolton that is just foaming at the mouth for a war with Iran. They're the ones that are in control of this world. Tell me something. Tell me, what has Iran done? I mean, really tell me, what has Iran done? What did they do to, I mean, this is Iraq all over again. Weapons of mass destruction. Well, you kill hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children, innocent. And you know what? Well, there wasn't any, we didn't find anything, so we're just going to carry on with our lives while Iraq is leveled, and there's children laying in the streets, and men, women, and children laying in the streets who didn't do a damn thing, with their brains blown out, their bodies torn to pieces. And these jerks are walking around just going about their business like, well, made a mistake. No, you didn't. You planned it. You're guilty. And you should be brought up on charges. In a perfect world, you would be. But you rule this world. And you know damn well you do. You're jerks. You're cowards. And I have no use for you. Can't stand you. Because you're not about love. You're about murder. You're about killing. You're about destruction. All for what? Your personal damn gain. That's all you care about. Things haven't changed much, because you have Bolton, you have Pompeo, you have all these jerks that are just, oh, they want war, they want war, they want war with Venezuela, they want war with Iran, they want war with Syria. But what do they say? What do they talk about? Peace, liberty, and justice for all. Really? Who do you think you're talking to? I'm not some first grade kid that's sitting there looking at you and buying all your BS. You're lying. You don't mean anything. You don't mean a word of that. Are you serious? You want peace? You're talking about peace when you've got the blood of hundreds of thousands of people on your hands? I mean, really? Anyway, I don't like talking about politics. I don't like talking about religion, really. But I love talking about spirituality. I love talking about truth. And sometimes you have to talk about it. You have to discuss it. And not that I like to, but there's a lot of things that I don't like. But when I have to do it, I do it. And I it's just, um, there there are so many things that are going on in this world because of those in power. Again, they have been consumed by that negative, by the dark half of themselves. And I'm not talking about some kind of, um, I'm not using metaphors. I'm talking about the real thing. They have given themselves over to, I guess the best way to describe it, they have given themselves over completely to their mind instead of their heart. Because the human mind always wants. It wants and it desires fame, fortune, riches, me, me, me. It is the number one sufferer of the disease called meism. Me, me, me. The heart is about others. The heart is not about me, the heart is about we. You know, conscience, heart, spirit. And it's true. It's always true. Now, how many of you know that your mind will lie to you? Yes, your mind will lie to you and will always, damn near talk you into doing anything. Your own mind. How? Well, you find a reason to justify anything, really. You know, if you find a justification, then your mind says, do it, do it, do it, do it. Come on. You know how bad you want that. Or you know how bad you need that when you really don't. Your mind wants what it desires. Your heart wants what you need. And what you need may not be flamboyant. It may not lead to fame, may not lead to fortune, but it leads to truth, and truth leads to happiness eventually. But in closing, don't think that it's going to be pleasant. Matter of fact, it's going to suck, because we were born into this, with the negative part ruling. It's just, like I said, it's like it's been hardwired into our DNA. And it's ruled for so long, and most people, that when you take the heart, which is heaven, and you put it over in charge of the mind, which is earth or hell, that's the marriage of heaven and earth. Heaven is your mind. Heaven is your heart, your spirit. Your mind is earth. So heaven on earth, ruling earth, is completely opposite of how most people are today. What it is heaven, the spirit, is in submission to the mind. And when that takes place, you may be happy for a while. You may succeed at things, and you may have temporary happiness, but in the end, the mind will always veer you the wrong way because it's led by desire and not by truth. So anyway, any questions? I thank everyone who took part tonight, and really enjoy you being here. I'm going to put the link to the home page on Spreaker for the podcast, and if you like the show and everything, please go to the link here and just follow me there. And then whenever I do the podcast, and I'll do the podcast Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So at 9 p.m. is going to be the new time. So please feel free to follow me there, and then you will get the notifications and when I go live or do a show or whatever. Anyway, and also if you want to contact me, you can contact me at the texorcist@gmail.com. That's the texorcist@gmail.com. And like if you have any show ideas, any topics, anything that you want to discuss, possibly be a part of the show with some of your topics or with personal experiences. I mean, so just send me a message and let's talk about it, and we'll see. But the main thing is if you're going through something, or you have questions, or you just simply need to reach out and talk to someone, I'm here. So just send me an email and we'll talk. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you all again for being here, and love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.